I'm sorry if I sound kind of funky. I am getting over a cold. Well, I'm pretty much done with my cold. Every time I get a cold, I lose my voice afterwards. I don't know if anybody else has that, but I am just a weirdo. But yeah, every time I get a cold, right after I'm done with the cold, I will completely lose my voice. And yeah, so I'm starting to get my voice back, which is why I'm able to make a video. But yeah, so we had a great Thanksgiving. I hope you all did too. I wasn't really able to talk very much on Thanksgiving, but other than that, it was really fun. We spent the day with our friends. They were hosting Thanksgiving dinner, and then the next day I actually made a whole other Thanksgiving dinner just for us, just because we really like leftovers, so we wanted to have all the leftovers. And then normally I don't cook for like 2 or 3 days after that, because we just eat all the Thanksgiving Day leftovers. But yeah, while I have been on the mend, my voice and myself, I have been doing a lot of my Christmas shopping, and now I'm almost done Christmas shopping. I still have to do Ian's Santa gift, Henry's gift from us, and whatever we choose to be from Santa, and then my sister-in-law Carly, and then that is it. That's all we have left for Christmas shopping. So I'm doing so great this year. It's not even December yet, and I am almost done, so go me. Let's see what else. I think that's mostly, what's been going on, but the reason I wanted to make a video today was because I wanted to do a breastfeeding journey so far with Henry video. I know that in my first video back, I kind of touched on breastfeeding just here recently, but I kind of wanted to go over our whole breastfeeding journey, because it's definitely not the same as it was with Ian. With Ian, I feel like it was a little bit harder in some ways, but for the most part, it was much easier breastfeeding Ian. Henry has been a little bit of a challenge. I've wanted to quit a few times, but I'm so glad I didn't. We're still going strong. He is 15 months old, and he's still nursing like a champ. Yeah, so with Ian, who is my first, he's 7 now, but when I nursed him, I immediately went to nipple shields, and I used those the entire time that I breastfed him. I breastfed Ian for a year, and I used them every single time. I think I only nursed him without a nipple shield maybe once or twice, and it wasn't a successful nursing session. It was just, he did it for a few seconds, and that was it. But with Henry, I was determined to nurse without a nipple shield, because I remember that it was kind of a pain in the butt. While I'm so thankful that nipple shields exist, because I literally wouldn't have been able to breastfeed Ian without one. I had inverted nipples when I had Ian, so yeah, there was just nothing for him to latch onto, so I'm so thankful that, we had the ability to use nipple shields, which allowed us to breastfeed. But after I was done nursing Ian, well, okay, so I used the nipple shields for a while. It corrected my problem permanently, but then he was so used to using the nipple shields that I couldn't get him weaned off of them. He literally just wouldn't nurse just straight on me. But now that the problem was corrected and I didn't actually need the nipple shields anymore, I wanted to try nursing Henry without them. So right from the start, my first nursing session with Henry, I didn't use them, and immediately it hurt, which was kind of weird. I remember the first few times I fed Ian, while we were still in the hospital, it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt until later, that first week, I guess, when I was home, when my milk started coming in and they were really sensitive. That's when it started to get sore for me, and then eventually, after doing it for a couple weeks, it stopped hurting. At least that's how I think I remember it. But with Henry, I feel like it started hurting immediately and really badly. Even the first time I nursed Henry, it hurt. And And it just kept getting like worse and worse. Every time I would feed him, I dreaded it. It just hurt so, so terribly. And sorry the camera's like shaking. My arms is like getting tired. It's plugged in right now because I don't have a lot of battery. Yeah. So I ended up, because I was really ready to quit. It was so incredibly painful that I didn't think I could do it anymore. So I went to see a lactation consultant. My hospital did like, they had these like breastfeeding group meetings once a week. So I decided to attend one of those, and immediately looking at Henry, like she looked at Henry for like 2 seconds and she spotted his tongue tie right away. She's like, oh, you know, what's the problem? And I was like, it really, really hurts to nurse. And he was nursing fine as far as he was getting what he needed. He was getting the milk. He was nursing for whatever. But he was nursing for a really long time. That was the other problem. Henry would nurse for like close to half an hour, whereas Ian would nurse for about 15 minutes. And she was like, yeah, half hour is a little bit too long to be nursing. If he's nursing successfully, 30 minutes is too long. And so she opened his little mouth, and immediately she's like, he's tongue-tied. Like, he's really tongue-tied. And she's like, that's probably why he's nursing so long, because he's not able to extract the milk successfully, like, right away and as fast, which is why he has to nurse a longer time to get the amount that he needs. And then, and she's like, and that's also probably why it's hurting you. So she recommended that we get his tongue tie clipped. And yeah, so we did that, and that was just terrible. The actual procedure was only like a couple minutes, and then she brought him right back in. But what they don't tell you, or what some people don't know if you haven't had a baby that's had a frenotomy or a tongue tie clipping, is that them clipping their tongue is only the first part of the process, because for, I want to say 7 weeks, I had to massage the wound because the tongue heals really quickly and you don't want it to like heal back shut. So every day, like if this was the part where they cut right there, I had to take my thumb, put it under his tongue and stretch it open. Like I had to do like a scooping motion like this under his tongue and kind of stretch it open. And I had to do that, I think, 3 times a day for 7 weeks. It was terrible. And was it 7 weeks? It seems like a really long time, but it was long. It was long. But yeah, that was terrible. After the first few weeks, though, he didn't mind anymore. He didn't really seem to care because it wasn't hurting him anymore. The first few times I did it, obviously, the wound was still fresh, and so it hurt him. And it only took like a second to do. I just had to do it 1, 2, 3 times, and then that was it. And then I could nurse him like normal. And then it healed. It healed fine. I went back in, and after that, it stopped hurting as much, but he had to relearn how to nurse because he had learned to nurse with his tongue tie. And so now he was having to relearn how to nurse, but now that he could stick his tongue out of his mouth, it was a whole new ball game. So it hurt all over again because we were then having to learn how to nurse correctly. I just wanted, like, for months, it was so painful to feed Henry, but I did it. I was strong, I made it, and now it does not hurt to feed Henry. It's fine. And, well, actually, no. It still hurts a little bit, but that brings me to the next thing. So, right after he finally learned to nurse, and it wasn't a problem with the way his tongue was moving anymore, then he started getting teeth. Like, it lasted that long. This whole process lasted so long. But anyways, so then Henry started growing some teeth, and then he was biting me, and that was terrible, and that made me want to quit nursing because I only remember Ian biting me one time, and I yelled no really loudly, and I scared him, and I took him off the breast immediately, and then I set him down, and then he cried, obviously, because he was hungry, and he wanted to nurse. But like I put him in like time out for a few minutes, and then I put him back on, and he didn't bite me again. But Henry, that didn't work. I tried to like yell ow and no and stop, and I would take him off the breast and he would cry, but then he would do it again. But like he was like biting the nipple, clamping down on it really hard, and I could not get it out of his mouth. I tried like putting my finger in his mouth like they tell you to do. I tried to like pull open his little gums, but man, he's got a grip on him. I could not get nipple out of his mouth. And so what I would have to end up doing basically is just like ripping it out of his mouth. Yeah, it was as painful as it sounded just now. And so then I started dreading feeding him again, and I wanted to quit because I was like, I can't do this. I had like cuts on my nipples. I mean, because if you're pulling some soft skin through somebody's very clamped teeth, you're gonna get some cuts. So it was terrible, you guys. But that was around his first birthday when he was doing that. But thankfully he does not do that anymore now. If I put my finger right here, all I have to do is kind of touch it even, and he just releases me. So yes, he's 15 months old now, and for the last 3 months, breastfeeding has finally been amazing. It doesn't hurt anymore. He nurses for a respectable amount of time. He doesn't really bite me anymore, and it's great. So yeah, that has been the breastfeeding journey with Henry. I also, while we were in Japan, I was keeping up a stash of milk in the refrigerator just so that I could use it to like make his baby food. But I've been a little bit lazier with Henry as far as making him like all organic homemade baby food like I did with Ian. And then with Henry, I'm like, meh, I'll just buy some. I'll buy baby food. It's easier. So second kid problems. So yeah, I don't really use my pump that much anymore. Yeah, so I have no stash in the fridge. I do still have a pump though, if I needed it for any reason. And then the last subject I wanted to touch on with breastfeeding Henry is about how comfortable I am doing it in public. When I nursed Ian, I don't think I ever really got comfortable nursing Ian in public. I would do it sometimes. I always used a cover, and even then I wasn't completely comfortable doing it. But with Henry, and I think it definitely helped that we were in Japan where breastfeeding is very normal and nobody bats an eyelash at it. It's not like in America. Nobody cares. In fact, if you try to use a cover in Japan, especially like during the spring and summer months when it's really hot, like Japanese ladies will come over to you and take it off. Like you're covered, and they will come over and take it off and be like, it's too hot for baby. And then if you're not using a cover, it's very normal for Japanese ladies to come over and like pet the baby's head, like your boob is like out and your baby's feeding, and they're just like all up in there, and they're like, oh sweet baby, so cute. Like it's just everybody over there, they nurse, and it's just what moms do, and it's not anything to bat an eyelash at. And so yeah, the women, the men, nobody cares over there. So it's just not a thing to like, huh. But saying that, they have amazing breastfeeding rooms. Like everywhere you go, they have amazing breastfeeding rooms, which I completely took advantage of because I do tend to be a little bit more comfortable in private. So I was very thankful for all of the mother's rooms. They're very nice mother's rooms too. Like they are swanky, those mother's rooms. They had all kinds of like things in there for babies, and just I can't even describe it, but it was amazing. I have not seen any mother's room here in the United States that even compares to all of the amenities and comfortableness that was over there. But being over there definitely made me comfortable nursing Henry anywhere and anytime, and I definitely do that now, so I'm very thankful for that. But yeah, so that's been my breastfeeding journey with Henry, and yeah. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about my breastfeeding journey with Henry, go ahead and leave them down below. Otherwise, I hope you are finishing up with your Christmas shopping, or if you're just starting, best of luck to you. You know, be careful with those crowds, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!